Today, the host Natalie. Co-host Kevin. Special guest here, looking at me.
Just checking you out, keeping an eye on you. What's up, guys? Today, I'm excited for this one. I've been waiting a while to introduce her. Today, we are going over our BCI, or Common Boa, Aurora. And she is exciting, is she not?
I think she is.
She's a very exciting snake. But as always, we will be going over some cool and general facts about the Common Boa, the enclosure, and diet. Easy enough?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Known as BCIs, Common Boas, or Boa Constrictor Impedidor, they are often associated with BCCs, Boa Constrictor Constrictor, which are true red-tailed boas. A lot of acronyms and stuff in the reptile hobby, right?
Yeah.
In this video, I don't want to get too in-depth with the differences between a BCC and a BCI, because the care is essentially the same. But if you guys want us to do a more in-depth video of the differences between the two, we'd be more than happy to do that.
Yeah.
That'd be a cool video too. A brief summary is this. As the name implies, a BCI or Common Boa is a lot more common in the reptile hobby than BCCs. They usually cost, BCCs, true red-tailed boas, are less frequently seen, and they also cost substantially more than a BCI.
Looking like a cobra right now.
Looking like a cobra?
Yeah. Putting her head up.
Good thing she's not a cobra. But we've honestly seen both BCCs and BCIs at like reptile shows, haven't we? You remember the differences between the two, right?
Yeah.
That we went over? Both beautiful snakes.
Yeah, they're beautiful snakes.
Beautiful. You will usually see both BCCs and BCIs both referred to as red-tailed boas, and we'll get a little more into that in the appearance and the differences between the two.
Yeah.
Again, BCCs are the true red-tailed boa,
Yeah.
but when we're speaking about
Wait a minute.
both...
She is a rainbow boa.
Red-tailed boa.
Yeah.
Did I say rainbow boa? I meant red-tailed boa. But when we're speaking about both BCCs and BCIs, we'll refer to them as red-tailed boas. We will also go over a few of the differences between the appearance differences between the two, right?
Yeah.
Depending on locality, they both come from mainly Central and South America.
Yeah.
Beautiful places.
Yeah, beautiful.
All the beautiful snakes come from the most beautiful places. They are a nocturnal and semi-arboreal species of snake from the Bodea family. Boa, Bodea. You see how it goes together?
What snakes do these include?
They got like the green anaconda, rainbow boa, all the snakes with a boa in its name.
Do they have white-lipped pythons?
White-lipped pythons would be pythons.
Oh, yeah.
But this is a very long-term pet, living up to 20, 30, and even recorded up to 40 years old.
Oh.
A 40-year-old snake.
Oh my God.
That's crazy. So not only would you be taking Aurora to college with you, you'd be taking her to your own house when you have your own family. She'll still be living with you. Or do you want Daddy to keep her?
I would probably live here.
Two of the most common pet snakes that you will see are ball pythons and red-tailed boas. Those are the two most common. So a lot of people ask, which is the better to keep?
Yeah.
What do you think? Because we got both. Do you think one is better than the other? They're both equal. In my personal opinion, and we have both, we have Casper, the ball python, I would honestly lean a little more to a boa. What do you think about that?
I think it's really cool.
In my personal opinion, I honestly lean towards boas. because when it comes to perfect care, red-tailed boas seem to be a bit more forgiving. Now, that's absolutely not an excuse to just throw them in a tank and call it a day. But I feel that when it comes to keeping the temperatures right, the humidity right, over a short period of time, they'll usually still eat, they'll usually still do totally fine.
Yeah.
I just feel ball pythons are a lot more touchy when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah.
A bit more. But you're right, both are absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
We love them both.
Awesome. Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, both are like very cool.
All right, and let's get into appearance.
Appearance.
Specifically, Aurora's first. The thing Natalie and I absolutely love about Aurora is the belly. She's got this like pink granite belly. Remember?
Yeah.
And when most people hear of a snake with a red or pink belly, they think like scale rot or some kind of infection. But as you can see with her, that pink intertwines with the colors that go around her body. So it's not scale rot or anything like that. That's her natural color.
Yeah.
Naturally pink.
She doesn't have any spores like Casper had.
You're exactly right.
No spores.
What do you think about her pink belly?
I think it's pretty cool without any spores.
She's a beaut. She's also got a bit of iridescence to her, which really shines when we have her out in the sun, just like a rainbow
Boa.
Yep. She's got that same iridescence.
Yeah.
Definitely not as much as the rainbow boa, but still, it's pretty sweet. Red-tailed boas get their name from their reddish tail.
Yeah.
How her tail turns red.
Look, so this end is pink, this end is red, and this end is brown.
Yep. But you see how the end of her tail is like that reddish?
Yeah.
Now with BCCs, that red tail stands out a lot more. Hers is more like a darkish burgundy.
She could blend anything with brown.
She could blend in.
Yeah, like
especially with those patterns.
she can blend in with this. You can totally see her.
Yeah, on a white table we can. Now, a lot of people lean to ball pythons because there are so many morphs, beautiful morphs of ball pythons. But something you should keep in mind is that red-tailed boas, or BCIs, BCCs, also come in a lot of different morphs. Anything from albino to like all jet black. I think that all jet black is the coolest looking one. Like you see that one? He's like jet black. That is so cool. Another big difference between BCIs and BCCs is BCCs, the true red-tailed boas, get substantially larger, growing up to 10, 12, and even 14 feet. That's a big snake.
Yeah.
With BCI females only getting to about 7 to 8 feet, and males only getting to about 6 feet. Still, big snakes.
Huge.
Big snakes. BCIs and BCCs also have very similar, like, saddles. You see how her patterns look like saddles? But with BCCs, they spread out a bit more. It almost looks like wings, theirs. But many people will tell you that that alone isn't a good enough indication because both of those have been found with the different appearance differences. I love both those patterns though, don't you?
Yeah.
Like those saddles
Yeah.
she's got going down her. Not as cool as your hognose snake's frowny faces though. I like your hoggies' frowny faces.
Yeah.
We'll get into this a little bit more in diet, but they should have a very muscular physique. Like, snakes are pretty much all muscle. And that's how they can climb trees, and she's strong. She's very strong, ain't she?
Yeah.
It'd be like getting locked up with handcuffs if she wraps around your hands.
Yeah. And we're like, oh no, we're going to do. And guys, she can wrap like this. Not that hard, but she can go like
Oh yeah, when she wants to latch onto something, she does. And our last cool fact is that unlike a lot of other boas and pythons, BCCs and BCIs don't have that pit organ.
Yeah.
Remember how the ball python has those like pits running across their lip?
Yeah.
These guys don't have that.
Hmm.
And what is that? What does the pit organ do?
See and eat.
See and heat.
See
and heat.
See and heat.
All right, and let's talk about their handleability and temperament. How do you think she is?
I think she is very sweet.
She's a very
Do
sweet
you want
girl.
to turn into a snake? Bippity boppity pew.
And boom, she's a snake.
She was a frog, but now she's a snake. Bippity boppity.
Oh, she used to be a frog.
Yep, now she's a snake.
That's a great magic trick. I agree. Aurora is a absolute sweetheart. Except for that one time. Do you remember when we were sitting on the couch with her, just sitting there, not doing anything, and she like randomly took a strike at you?
Mm-hmm.
She missed, but it was like the most random thing.
Yeah, she went.
Just like many baby snakes, you'll hear they are a bit nippy, but you have to understand when you're this little thing being born into a world where everything is trying to eat you, I'd be a little defensive too.
What do you do?
I'd be a little nippy. And then there's us, giant creatures, taking her out of her enclosure, walking around with her, and she just sees us as these like giant predators when they're babies. But just like most snakes, as they become comfortable, as they become adults, they usually tame right out and become super friendly, like she is now, with a great reputation of being very docile and laid back, which she is, except for that one time.
What?
That she took a shot at you. But I think it's also important to note that it absolutely depends on the individual snake. That's not true for every single adult red-tailed boa. Keep in mind though, as a fairly large snake, BCCs more so,
Yeah.
taking a bite from them is going to be quite painful as an adult. And no, they're not going to kill you, they're not going to try to eat you, but...
That's just their offensive. That's just how they keep themselves safe, and so people don't try, and that's how they defend themselves.
Yes, you are exactly right. So we would definitely recommend trying to tame them early as babies, and as always, absolutely recommend supervision if a child is interacting with them. No quick and sudden movements right in her face.
Yeah,
right?
you can't be like...
Can't like wave your hand right in her face or do
You
anything.
can't be like...
Right, exactly. All right, and on to
Enclosure.
enclosure. These are a fairly large snake, BCCs and BCIs. So you're gonna need something with not only floor space, but remember we also said they're semi-arboreal. So at the least, you're gonna want something like 8 to 10 feet long with at least 3 to 4 feet height to give it some height for them to be semi-arboreal, right?
Yeah.
Because for enrichment, if you want her to be active and act as if she normally would in her natural setting, you want to give her both those options to move around.
Yeah.
They also require high humidity levels. So with any reptile that you have to deal with high humidity levels for them, we'd recommend like not your glass tanks with the mesh screen top, because that lets a lot of the humidity out. And with high humidity levels, you're going to want a substrate that's good for holding in moisture. A like play sand and topsoil mix will work, coconut fiber will work, and patting in some moss throughout will also help with the humidity.
Yeah.
As far as the humidity levels themselves, it should be between 60 and 80%, which that's pretty high.
Yeah.
And when it comes to dealing with humidity like that, it makes it that much important to keep their enclosure clean. You remember why?
Why?
Because it's not the humidity that can give them respiratory infections and stuff like that. It's the bacteria in the humidity, collecting in the humidity, that they're breathing in that will give them things like respiratory infections. Don't want that.
Yeah.
Being semi-arboreal, you're also going to want to add things for enrichment, things for them to climb. Branches, cork bark, plants, stuff that they can climb and slither through.
Yeah. Not like just random stuff. You can't just put like plants, that's it.
Yeah, you need more than that.
Way more than that.
You're absolutely right.
You need branches, hide, plants too. Like.
You're absolutely right, because she loves to climb, doesn't she?
Yeah, she loves it.
She wants to get to the top of the castle.
And you guys need to do a front opening enclosure.
Very good point. Why?
Because they think that there's a ball that's flying in from the top and trying to grab them out and bring them out.
You are so smart.
Yeah, and then eat them.
Yep, you are so smart. But as Natalie just mentioned, you will need several hides. One on the warm end, one on the cool end,
And a humidity hide.
you can do that, and possibly a arboreal hide.
Yeah, that
Something-
has 2 holes.
Yes, something that they can climb up to and hide without being on ground level. They will also need a large water dish, big enough that they can soak their entire body in, and heavy enough that she won't just flip it over. Remember when you seen Casper drinking for the first time the other day? That's pretty funny looking, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All right, and let's finish up the enclosure with heating and lighting. You will need to create a heat gradient that they are able to thermoregulate their body. Do you remember what that means?
Yeah.
What?
Humidity.
Not quite. They can warm themselves up by like going to the warm end. If they need to cool off, they can go to the cool end. Before we do get into the actual temperatures, we did want to add that although they are nocturnal, they will spend some of their time during the day coming out to heat themselves up. We've seen her come out through the few times throughout the day, haven't we?
Yeah.
And that even makes it that much important that you give them a day and night cycle. So they have a daytime and a nighttime, kind of like we do. And number 2, because of this, heat lamps or radiant heat panels, something that comes in from above, are
Yeah.
preferred over like heat tape or heat mats. They should have a basking temperature of between 90 and 95 degrees with an ambient temperature between 85 and 90 degrees. And then a cool side of between 70 and 80 degrees. And nighttime temperature should never go anywhere below 70 degrees. You don't want it too cold for it.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, and then turn on the cold and then the hot and
She'd be
then
like, oh my God, I'm freezing.
yeah. And then if you turn on all the way hot, then they'll be like, oh my gosh, this is really, really hot. I'm burning up.
I'm burning up. And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning, is boas seem to be a lot more forgiving. Like most nocturnal reptiles, UVB is not required. However, studies have been done to show that UVB can be helpful to even nocturnal snakes and prolong their lifespan. Help them live that full 40 years.
Yeah.
So you can take them off to college with you.
Yep, well, no, not the snake. But I can.
You gonna take the fat-tailed gecko?
Yeah, I'm
Of
in.
course you are. Alright, and finally on to diet. Both BCIs and BCCs have a great reputation of being great eaters. Aurora here has eaten every single feeding, hasn't she?
Yeah.
And like immediately.
Do you want to eat? Relax.
Well, you turned her from a frog to a snake. What is she supposed to eat? Frog food or snake food? Now, just because they do have a great reputation of being great eaters doesn't mean that you should overfeed them. A common issue with captive red-tailed boas is obesity, which that can severely cut down on their lifespan. As we mentioned earlier, they should have a very muscular physique. Big, strong guy.
Yeah.
Online, you guys can find pictures and charts of like actual diagrams that will show you what a healthy boa is compared to overweight, obese, everything like that. But that makes it easy, because then you can see how their physique is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Their diet will consist entirely of rodents. The rule of thumb is to never give them anything bigger than the thickest part of their body.
Yeah.
That after they eat it, they should have like a small lump. Baby boas should be fed anywhere between 10 to 14 days, while adults will eat every 2 to 4 weeks. However, you as the owner need to keep an eye on their weight and girth and feed them accordingly.
Yeah.
Because each snake will grow differently, right?
Yeah.
And our final point to diet is, as the name implies, constrictor, they kill their prey by squeezing the life out of it. Like, squeezing it.
Yeah,
And then wrapping their whole body around it and just squeezing it, right?
Yeah.
And believe me, we get it. There's some snakes out there that will outright refuse frozen thawed. But we would highly recommend feeding your snakes, any of them, frozen thawed. Keeping them or switching them to frozen thawed. Frozen thawed will help out with taming your boa, and will also prevent them from being bit or scratched from a mouse or a rat, which a bite from a mouse can quickly become infected. Alright guys, and that does it on Aurora, our common boa. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give us a like if you found it interesting, and consider subscribing for more care videos and all the other awesome reptiles we show off.
Yeah.
We got a lot of them. Alright guys, but we will see you Wednesday for the next one, and have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Guys, don't forget, I'm going to school.
Yes, Missy's going to school here in a week. She's excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Alright guys, we'll see ya.
Bye. Bye.